The UN has called on India and Pakistan to exercise maximum restraint as each side threatens the other in the wake of Tuesday's attack in disputed Kashmir. Police say they've identified 3 gunmen from Pakistan who they think were responsible for the murders of 26 Indian tourists. Delhi has since suspended a water-sharing treaty with Pakistan and they've closed the main land border between the 2 countries.
Reports say 2 or 3 armed men entered the valley and they shot the tourists assembled there. Survivors say that terrorists tried to identify non-Muslims and shot them.
मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
नहीं आप टेंशन मत लो, अब बेटा आप यहाँ पे रहो, हम साथ में।
मेरे पति को बचा लो।
हम बचा देंगे, कोई बात नहीं।
Please ask for help. We don't need.
Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Hello and welcome to, well, this isn't really the kind of channel that needs a cheery welcome, is it? Let's be honest. We're about to wade into the geopolitical equivalent of a dumpster fire fueled by decades of mistrust, violence, and enough nuclear weapons to make the entire planet nervous. That's right, folks, we're talking about the India-Pakistan conflict. And if you think it's just a little border dispute blown out of proportion by the media, oh boy, are you in for a treat. This thing goes deeper than a philosophy student trying to impress a date at a coffee shop. Over the next few chapters, we'll be unpacking 10 shocking facts about this rivalry, a term, by the way, that feels almost too casual for a situation that's more like 2 porcupines trying to share a sleeping bag. Trust me, things get prickly. So buckle up, grab your nearest stress toy and prepare to be informed, horrified, and maybe just a little bit despairing about the future of humanity. Let's begin, shall we? Our first stop on this tour of potential global catastrophe brings us to the Indus River. When the river is the lifeblood of 2 nuclear-armed nations, things get complicated. In 1960, India and Pakistan signed the Indus Waters Treaty. The treaty divided the river's tributaries between the 2 nations. After a deadly attack in Kashmir, India suspended the treaty. This move sent shockwaves through Pakistan. The international community expressed concern, but will it be enough? Stay tuned. Alright folks, if you thought weaponizing water was bad, buckle up because it's about to get about 1,000 times worse. Let's rewind to a seemingly idyllic day in Pahalgam, Kashmir, a place known for its stunning beauty and unfortunately becoming synonymous with violence. Picture this, tourists, blissfully unaware of the geopolitical storm brewing around them, are enjoying the breathtaking scenery when suddenly their peaceful vacation is shattered by gunfire. It wasn't a random act of violence, it was a meticulously planned massacre targeting innocent civilians. The aftermath was horrific. 26 tourists lay dead, their lives brutally cut short in a place meant for relaxation and wonder. The world reeled in shock. The brutality of the attack, a stark reminder of the human cost of the India-Pakistan conflict. India, already on edge after the Kashmir attack that triggered the water dispute, was quick to point the finger at Pakistan-based militant groups. The evidence, they claimed, was clear. Pakistan, as per usual, denied any involvement, calling it a conspiracy to malign them on the world stage. But the damage was done. The Pahalgam massacre wasn't just another tragedy in a region sadly accustomed to them. It was a turning point. It ripped away any pretense of normalcy, pushing the 2 nations closer to the brink. The attack sparked a diplomatic firestorm. Ambassadors were recalled, harsh words were exchanged, and sanctions were threatened like they were going out of style. Imagine 2 people already engaged in a heated argument suddenly having gasoline thrown on the fire. It was messy, it was loud, and it had the potential to get very, very ugly. Public outrage in India reached a fever pitch. Protests erupted in major cities demanding swift and decisive action against those responsible. The pressure on the Indian government to retaliate was immense. And let's just say they weren't exactly known for their restraint in these situations. The world watched with a mixture of horror and morbid fascination as the situation spiraled further out of control. The Pahalgam massacre was a stark reminder that the India-Pakistan conflict wasn't some abstract geopolitical chess match. It was a living, breathing nightmare for those caught in its crosshairs, and it seemed like things were about to get a whole lot worse. All right, let's talk about nukes, everyone's favorite conversation starter. India and Pakistan both have them. That's not great. In fact, it's objectively terrifying. Imagine two guys in a bathtub, both holding hairdryers plugged in and pointed at each other. That's the vibe here. Now, both countries claim their nuclear arsenals are purely for deterrence. They argue it's all about maintaining a so-called balance of terror, which, by the way, sounds less like a defense strategy and more like a metal band from the 80s. But here's the thing about deterrence. It relies on rationality. And when you've got historical baggage, political tensions, and a whole lot of mistrust simmering away, well, rationality can sometimes take a back seat. It's like trusting a raccoon to babysit your prized goldfish. You're just asking for trouble. And the truly terrifying part, the risk of accidental nuclear war isn't some abstract concept. There have been multiple close calls, miscommunications, and near misses. It's enough to make you want to invest in a lead-lined basement and a lifetime supply of canned peaches. Adding fuel to this already volatile fire is the constant barrage of misinformation and propaganda. Both sides love to paint the other as the aggressor, the villain, the one with their finger hovering over the big red button. It's like a really depressing game of he said, she said, but with the potential for global annihilation. And then there's the issue of non-state actors. We're talking about terrorist groups who might want to get their hands on some of that nuclear material. Think about it. These are people who use car bombs and suicide vests. Do we really want them anywhere near weapons that could wipe out entire cities? It's like giving a chimpanzee a chainsaw and hoping for the best. The scariest part is that the world seems remarkably blasé about all of this. We're all distracted by our own problems, like what Kylie Jenner named her kid this week or whatever Elon Musk is tweeting about. Meanwhile, two nuclear-armed neighbours are playing a dangerous game of chicken and nobody seems to be paying attention. So, yeah, the India-Pakistan nuclear situation is a bit like that weird growth on your back you keep meaning to get checked out. It's probably fine, probably, but wouldn't it be better to address it before it turns into something truly catastrophic? 1965. The Beatles released Rubber Soul, miniskirts were all the rage, and Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar in Kashmir. Disguised soldiers aimed to incite rebellion. It failed spectacularly. India counterattacked, leading to war. The war ended in a stalemate. Tensions remain to this day. The year 2000. The Y2K bug had failed to plunge the world into chaos. The Backstreet Boys were at the top of the charts, and in the village of Chattisinghpora, Kashmir, a horrific massacre took place, casting a long shadow over the already troubled region. On the night of March 20th, gunmen dressed in Indian Army uniforms entered Chattisinghpora and opened fire on a group of Sikh men, killing 35 and injuring several others. It was a brutal, senseless act of violence that shocked the world and deepened the mistrust between India and Pakistan. India was quick to blame Pakistan-based militant groups, accusing them of carrying out the massacre to destabilize the region and incite communal violence. Pakistan, as they tend to do, denied any involvement. And so began another frustrating chapter in the long and bloody saga of the India-Pakistan conflict. The Chattisinghpora massacre remains shrouded in mystery and controversy to this day. The investigation was riddled with inconsistencies, contradictory statements, and allegations of cover-ups. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle where half the pieces are missing, and the other half keep changing places. To this day, no one has been held accountable for the massacre. The families of the victims are still waiting for justice, their grief compounded by a profound sense of betrayal and abandonment. It's a stark reminder that in the fog of war, truth is often the first casualty. The Chattisinghpora massacre serves as a painful reminder of the human cost of the India-Pakistan conflict. It's a story of lives cut short, families torn apart, and a search for justice that continues to this day. And it highlights the urgent need for accountability, reconciliation, and a lasting peace in the region. Because honestly, after decades of conflict and bloodshed, wouldn't it be nice if these two countries could just, figure their shit out? All right, let's talk about Pakistan's economy, shall we? Imagine a game of Jenga held together by duct tape and IMF loans. That's Pakistan's economy. Corruption, political instability, and conflict with India plague it. It's like running a marathon with a sprained ankle. The uncertainty adds up, like filling a bathtub with a thimble. This isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Millions struggle to put food on the table. The threat of war adds anxiety. It's enough to make you reach for the Pepto-Bismol. War disrupts trade and scares off investors. For Pakistan, another conflict could be catastrophic. It would be like putting out a grease fire with gasoline. The cost of war would be staggering. It's a never-ending cycle of tension and mistrust, draining resources that could be used for education or healthcare. It's like downloading a virus on a national scale. Even without war, the threat takes its toll. It's a cycle of tension and military buildup, draining resources that could be used for education, healthcare, or anything else. It's enough to make you want to scream into the void. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the dragon. Because we can't discuss the India-Pakistan conflict without mentioning China's rather significant role. China, with its ever-growing economy and military might, is like that friend who always seems to insert themselves into every conversation, even when it's about something as mundane as choosing a restaurant. But in this case, China's involvement is anything but mundane. See, China has its own territorial disputes with India in the Himalayas, and let's not forget, they're also Pakistan's BFF. Their all-weather friend, as they like to call it. It's a complicated relationship, like a geopolitical love triangle, but with more nukes and significantly less romantic tension. So you've got India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed neighbors with a history of conflict, and then you've got China, a rising superpower with its own interests in the region, adding fuel to the fire. It's a recipe for disaster, like mixing Mentos and Diet Coke, but with potentially world-altering consequences. It's enough to make you want to invest in a bomb shelter, or at least a really good book on international diplomacy. Now, China claims to be neutral in the India-Pakistan conflict, like a referee in a particularly aggressive game of badminton, but their actions tell a different story. They provide Pakistan with military equipment, invest heavily in infrastructure projects in Pakistan-controlled Kashmir, and generally act as a counterbalance to India's influence in the region. It's like watching someone trying to play both sides of a tennis match simultaneously. Impressive athleticism, sure, but ultimately a recipe for chaos. And this isn't just a game for China. Their involvement in the region is driven by strategic interests, securing access to resources, expanding their influence, and generally throwing their weight around like a panda in a porcelain shop. The problem is their involvement also risks escalating the conflict. Any clash between India and Pakistan could easily draw China into the fray, turning a regional dispute into a much larger conflagration. It's like accidentally dropping a lit match into a fireworks factory. Things could get very messy, very quickly. It's enough to make you want to brush up on your Mandarin, or perhaps just invest in a good pair of running shoes. Now, you might be thinking, John, this is already a geopolitical nightmare. Surely it can't get any worse, right? Oh, my sweet, naive viewers, you underestimate the sheer audacity of the universe to make things even more complicated, because we haven't even factored in the existential threat that is climate change. See, the Himalayan glaciers, those majestic icy behemoths, are melting at an alarming rate, like ice cubes in a sauna. And why should you care, you ask? Well, these glaciers feed the Indus River system, which provides water to millions of people in India and Pakistan. So, as the glaciers shrink, so does the water supply. And when water becomes scarce, well, let's just say it has a tendency to turn neighbors into rivals, and rivals into enemies. It's like being stuck in a desert with one canteen of water and realizing you forgot to pack the cups. Climate change is acting like an accelerant, pouring gasoline on the already smoldering embers of the India-Pakistan conflict. And as the planet warms and the water dries up, those embers are only going to get hotter. It's enough to make you want to invest in a water filtration system, or at least stock up on bottled water. Now, I'm not saying that climate change is going to cause a nuclear war between India and Pakistan, but I'm also not saying it, because the reality is when you combine resource scarcity, historical animosity, and a healthy dose of political opportunism, you've got yourself a volatile cocktail that could easily explode. Imagine a future where farmers in India and Pakistan are fighting over dwindling water resources, where cities are running dry, and where governments are under immense pressure to secure their water supply. allies, even if it means resorting to drastic measures. It's not a pretty picture, is it? It's like something out of a Mad Max movie, but with less leather and more bureaucratic infighting. And the worst part is, this isn't some far-off dystopian future we're talking about. This is a reality that's already unfolding, a slow-motion disaster that's only going to get worse if we don't act now. It's enough to make you want to invest in a rain barrel, or at least start taking shorter showers. All right, let's talk about public sentiment, because if you thought geopolitical chess matches were complicated, try adding a few billion emotionally invested players to the mix. In both India and Pakistan, nationalism isn't just a political stance, it's practically woven into the cultural fabric. We're talking flag-waving, anthem-belting, my country right or wrong levels of devotion. And look, a healthy dose of national pride can be a beautiful thing, like winning the World Cup in cricket, or finally figuring out how to properly fold a fitted sheet. But when it comes to the India-Pakistan conflict, that national pride often curdles into something a bit more unsavory. We're talking suspicion, distrust, and a whole lot of finger-pointing. It's like that one couple you know who break up and make up every other week, except instead of passive-aggressive Facebook posts, they have nuclear weapons. It's a recipe for disaster, really, because when tensions are already running high, all it takes is one spark, a border skirmish, a political misstep, a particularly spicy vindaloo to ignite the whole damn powder keg. Now, this isn't to say that every Indian and Pakistani citizen is itching for a fight, far from it. But the problem is, the loudest voices in the room often belong to those peddling fear and division. And where do those voices tend to resonate the most? You guessed it, at the internet. Social media, in all its infinite wisdom, has become a breeding ground for misinformation and propaganda, fanning the flames of animosity with clickbait headlines and inflammatory rhetoric. It's like a giant online echo chamber where nuanced perspectives go to die and the most outrageous takes rise to the top. And because we humans are incredibly susceptible to confirmation bias, we tend to believe things that already align with our existing views. It's all too easy to get sucked into these online vortexes of hate, so you've got decades of historical baggage, a complex web of political and social tensions, and a digital landscape that thrives on division. It's a potent cocktail, and frankly, it's enough to make anyone want to reach for the good whiskey, or maybe just a stiff cup of chai. Now, you might think that a conflict with the potential to go nuclear would be enough to grab the world's attention, right? You'd think wrong. While India and Pakistan rattle sabers, the world watches from the sidelines. It's like a high-stakes cricket match with bombs, but everyone's distracted. The world is full of distractions, pandemics, climate change, and political chaos. It's a lot to keep track of, but ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. It often makes it worse. Nature abhors a vacuum. In geopolitics, that vacuum is rarely filled with rainbows. Some argue it's a regional issue, but we live in an interconnected world. A nuclear conflict would have global consequences: fallout, environmental catastrophe, and humanitarian crisis. We're all invested in this. The international community must act. It's a dangerous game we're playing, and frankly, I'm not sure anyone's keeping score. Well, there you have it. 10 shocking facts about the India-Pakistan conflict that will hopefully leave you feeling slightly more informed and significantly more terrified. Look, this is a complex issue with no easy answers, and frankly, I'm not qualified to offer any, but what I can say is this: ignoring the problem won't make it go away. So, if you're feeling even remotely motivated to learn more, I encourage you to do your own research, engage in thoughtful discussions, and maybe, just maybe, try to spread a little less hate in the world. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global issues. See you next time.